Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians and fellow Toastmasters. Because Jackie and I are both Toastmasters, and we've got Toastmasters spotted throughout the audience. Tomorrow morning is our Toastmaster. We're going to hear about it if we don't do this right. Sorry we had to hold this in an airplane hangar.
Yeah.
But if you go stand by that speaker, I was underneath it a little while ago, you can really hear well. Jackie Karol, one of our own, Toastmaster and Rotarian, is going to be interviewed by yours truly today. Jackie Karol is the angel of billiards and has been playing pool since she was 3 years old, and I think she's been taking people's money ever since. She is a national champion and a professional instructor. She is a columnist for several pool magazines. She has created a college for high school and college classes. She has a video instructional series and is about to finish a textbook, which she would be glad to autograph, I'm sure, The Art and Science of Pocket Billiards. She's also the owner of a billiards academy and pro shop, and she formed a group called the Angels of Billiards, who are 3 master female players that essentially do billiards like Charlie's Angels did crime solving. They raise money for charity by doing challenge matches across the country and inspire people to play this wonderful sport. And so now Jackie and I are going to take our seats, and you're going to hear some amazing stories. So let's do it. Good. So Jackie, let's start by, how's this? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Let's start this by explaining how you got interested in pocket billiards.
I started playing pool when I was about 3 years old, and my dad got me into it because that's what he did as his main hobby when he wasn't working, and he was a nuclear engineer at Hanford, and he would come home after work and just play pool like every night, and was super analytical, so it taught me like great fundamentals, and it was really great at teaching me the mental game as well. It was really, he actually read this book, How to Raise a Champion, and it basically said like you should never let your kid win, and which it really inspired that killer instinct in me, and he would be like, I bet you can't make that shot, I bet you can't make that shot. And he put like $10 on the table, he's like, $10 says you can't make that shot. And I would just fire it in the hole. But that's who got me originally into it. And then through high school and college, I played and would drive my friends out to the pool rooms, and my girlfriends loved it because they would meet guys, and I'd make some little extra cash. So it was fun.
Just for the edification of everybody in here, what is a massé shot?
Oh, you're asking me? Oh, I thought you were asking. It was like a quiz. So a massé shot is like it's a curve shot. So in order to get the cue ball to curve, you have to have an elevated pool cue and come down on one of the sides of the ball, so it will curve around your ball that you're snookered behind. So a big tip in playing pool well is to not be elevated, because it will have the ball curve a little bit. Sometimes you can't see it and you'll miss your shot. So one of the biggest tips is to level out your pool cue and have it as level with the floor as you can.
So I'm going to use that tomorrow night, see if I can win some money somewhere. Are we synced up when we do clips and stuff like that?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, we can, if you would like to put the pictures. So,
by the way, this is the 5th test. There's a 5-way rotary test. This is the 5th one you don't often hear recited, which is it interesting? Trust me, it's interesting. It's about to get more interesting.
So I just put together a little collage of different things. That's me when I was about 8 years old playing pool up in the left corner, and going to the right on the top, that's at Uptown Billiards Club. It's the pool room I first got involved with when I first started working here in the Portland area a couple years ago. And then they unfortunately went out of business, but now I'm at the Rialto, and that was my class there. Awesome people, and a lot of them still, now they're playing at the pool leagues at Rialto now. And then the next row on the left with the graduation caps are some of my students, and they're actually, some of them are in Rotary in Chico, really great people. The girl in the middle, she's awesome, she's my friend, and I would trade her pool lessons for hair. She owns a hair salon, and she became the most improved player that year. And then on the far right, that's all Rotary Club people in Chico. It's really fun. And then on the left, on the bottom, that was domestic violence group, and they did like a corporate team building event, so I'll do that for all different companies and friends and family. It really gets everybody involved, and I teach them different drills that are real simple to learn, but really teach you a skill, and it really has you connect with people that you work with, and brings people together they might not have, you know, known each other as much. And then that's Kelly on the bottom in the middle, and that was the first tournament that she ever won. She was my #1 student, and she came to me years ago when I first started teaching in California, and she used to hold the pool cue like this. It was so funny, and she's like, I want to be the #1 female in Chico, and she worked harder than anyone. I mean, one time she spent 6 hours on one shot. I'm like, that's a champion right there. And she was #1 female in Chico for 4 consecutive years. Super awesome. And now she's playing in national events, and she does some exhibitions with me. She's one of the angels, and we raise different money for different charities and stuff. She's amazing. Let's see. Sorry. And then that's one of the leagues that I don't know, I'm getting emotional. In Chico, so.
Okay, so we're going to take, there's several parts to Jackie's career. I'd like you to tell us about how you got into the car business.
Okay, so the way I got, I have a biology degree, but everything I've ever done is kind of like bizarre stuff. It's just interesting to me. So I went into the library, and I was reading books about sales, and this one stood out to me. I was like 20 years old. And it was Joe Girard, the greatest car salesman in the world, Guinness Book of World Records, 12 years in a row. And I'm like, well, that's interesting. And I read like all of his books, and I'm like, I want to do that. That sounds fun. And I met like a wholesaler, and then the wholesaler introduced me to a guy that owned a small lot in, this is in Colorado, in Boulder, Colorado. And I didn't know anything about cars. Like which one's the Honda? Like total blonde girl, right? But it was just really nice people, and he taught me a lot about cars and about sales, and I really learned a lot about the process and the pitfalls. I actually wrote a short book for people how to avoid the common pitfalls and, you know, not get taken advantage of. And there's a reason that car salesmen have a bad rep. Sorry. I do too. But I'm overcoming that with, you know, goodness and hope. Right? I actually have a cute, this is one of the cutest like car commercials. It's just hilarious. We'll play that. It's the Car Badger. I don't know if you've ever seen that from years ago. It totally depicts some of the truth in the car sales industry.
So we ready to sign this deal?
Well, we really love the car.
Yeah, we love it. It's just 340 is as high as we can go, man.
You're kidding me, right? All the paperwork I had to do, I looked at your credit report. You got a lot of money, so then let's do the deal. Can I help you, ma'am?
Yeah, I'm interested in this SUV.
As soon as your husband gets here, I'll be more than happy to show you all the features.
Actually, it's for me.
So there's no need looking under the hood. Here's where the cup holders are, and there's a rear view mirror. That's where you can put on your makeup. And this is the steering wheel here. It's what you use to drive. Hey, honey, come on back here.
Tired of being badgered?
It's the funniest series of commercials. You have to look it up. It's hilarious. They should bring it back. It's so funny.
So, were you guys able to hear that okay?
Yeah, it's
Because we're, as back here on this stage, we cannot hear anything going on out there. So, okay. Now, let's talk a little bit about getting into rhymes with car, starts with B, the bar business. How'd that all come about?
So, let's see. I was about to graduate, and which I got my degree. I was going to be a pharmaceutical sales rep, and I took a year to play pool, and I won a championship that year. I also met my husband, and he owned a bar, and he got me involved in the bar business kind of from the back of the house, like bookkeeping, and then I learned all different aspects of it and studied and went to classes, and we owned 2 bars. We opened up, the second one was more like mine, and I was the #1 investor and ran it and taught bartenders and got my certifications to teach alcohol awareness classes and also security, like bouncers and stuff. It was very interesting and really fun, and both bars were really, really successful. A lot of work. It is a lot of work. It's not like people think, like people are like, oh, I'm gonna get a bar, I'm gonna hang out and invite my friends. No, it's hard, it's so much work. But it is fun, but it starts to feel like Groundhog Day. It's like the same thing, and it's like, crazy party, crazy party. It's like, you know. So I love it, but you just, you know, I've kind of done that off and on, and then became a restaurant consultant. One of my good friends owns a company that is literally just like bar rescue, and after we had to flip the concept of our second bar because at first it started out like not good, and so we consulted our friend who like does that. He's like amazing. He does bars in Vegas and in New York, and like he's really big time. And he taught me a lot. Worked with different bars to help them, and I've been referred to as the female version of Patrick Swayze in Roadhouse. I don't know if you guys remember that old movie. Actually, we could we watch that clip from Roadhouse? I can unfortunately relate to certain aspects of it. We'll get that up here.
These work? Sure do. I'll take it.
So he had like this, he owns a really nice new Mercedes, but he went to the car lot to buy this, and we'll watch that second clip as soon as you can get it. So he buys that car on purpose because he knew that business more than I did. I've had my brand new Mercedes convertible, let's see, something drawn on it that said, not mine, yours. I've had rocks thrown through my windshield because employees were caught stealing and were fired, or sometimes fights would break out and they got kicked out. So like there is some retaliation and that can happen. And then actually in Chico, I worked with 2 different bars and pool rooms and tripled their sales by changing prices and marketing and bringing pool leagues and growing the community there. And I had this really nice BMW convertible, and it was keyed all the way around. It was good times. Good thing I worked with the auto body shop only that my insurance covered it, but this is kind of like a clip. This is very similar to my life.
You got quite a little enterprise going here. What? Going through a bottle every 30 minutes, you're skimming the till for 6 shots a bottle on drafts 1 every 10. costing you about $150 a night. So consider it severance pay. Take the train.
I didn't hear you say that.
I'm safer now.
You sure?
Get out.
Yeah, it was a good night. Nobody died.
It'll get worse before it gets better.
So it's been very fun, very interesting, not boring.
Hey, Jackie.
Yeah.
There's some of us out there that I suppose have gone through rough patches in our life and thinking this is all downhill. When is it ever going to be downhill as in a slide to oblivion? You want to walk us through this? Now, other than the baby in the back of the room, are there any children that are like 4 or 5 years old in this room? No? Okay. We can go ahead with this. Walk us through those bullet points.
Okay.
2 years, right?
Well, yeah, it's so
Listen closely to this first one, people.
There was a certain 2 years of my life that I am not even kidding you. It was like a curse. Like there was a curse on me. Like it was just hard to believe. So well, I don't know where to start, but this is just kind of random stuff I thought would be kind of interesting to talk about. Oh man, okay. Well, in one of our bars, we had a KY jelly wrestling match, and it was actually sponsored by Astroloop. But we got in trouble for it, but it was like a huge, like, it attracted so many people, and like, everybody was having a great time. But we got in big trouble for it because the neighborhood actually didn't want a bar, that particular bar, and so they would like enforce any rules on us like way more than what they do is they set the rules so ridiculous that everybody's breaking the law, really sound violation, noise violations, everybody is. At 55 decibels is quiet office noise. And so I even got a decibel reader because we were getting in trouble because the neighborhood just didn't want that one bar, particular bar. So we said, hey, let's do a wrestling match on that. We got in trouble for noise violations, even though everybody was breaking the law. The other bar got in no trouble and is still there. And anyways, so the headline in the newspaper was "Underage girls forced to KY jelly wrestle," and the O'Reilly factor actually picked it up and he read it and he was like, "Yeah, right, forced." But they were underage, but they had a real ID that looked just like them. So we did everything, and these guys are cracking up. See, I didn't know if it was appropriate or not to share that, but I did it. And then let's see, we had to go up against the liquor board and defend our case. And even though there was all kinds of bars breaking the law, like Mardi Gras and whatever, you're not allowed to wrestle. They had weekly fight nights at this other bar. Never in trouble. We did a one-time thing and got in trouble. It's crazy. Anyways, yeah. Then I got divorced. There was a lien on my house because the douchebag that I married had a debt. Lien on the house, so I got nothing at all, even though I was smart, it's okay, promise. Then a dog attacked me. I had, in these 2 years, I'm not kidding you, it was like I had a legal case from every single area of law. A dog attacked me. I lost 3 dogs in 2 weeks for all different reasons. I was sexually harassed by a tournament director of the IPT, the International Pool Tour, which is, I'm gonna get in big trouble for saying this, but it's okay. Anyways, when I came forth and talked about it, there was other girls that also were. It was totally messed up and they wouldn't come forward. There's only 15 women in the world to play on this tour, and it was about 150 men and women around the world, the International Pool Tour. It was actually like the greatest tour that ever existed, the most money ever. There was more video cameras there than the Super Bowl. Vegas Showgirls brought out the guys' queue. Chippendales brought out the girls' queue. It was entertainment. It was also favored the best players. It was these grueling matches, 12 hours a day. It was awesome. It was also a reality TV show. I know I'm going on too many tangents. Anyways, that guy, what a turd. What a turd. That's a longer story, but it's funny. But we probably don't have time for it. But anyways, I filed a police report on it because I wasn't afraid. I'm not going to let that little turd do that. He really was a little turd too. He's actually a midget. I'm not kidding. He really was. And anyways, but later, years later, he tried to be the tournament director for the women's tour. Could you imagine? This and so they asked me to send in my police report, and it got him to not disqualify because he was going to get it. Anyways, then I had a workman's comp. I think I got tendonitis in my wrist from dealing cards. A lemon lawsuit. I worked at this brand new Jeep dealer, and I was having all these electrical issues with it. And anyway, and then I had to file bankruptcy, not once, but twice. But on the bright side, did you guys know that the average millionaire files bankruptcy 3.5 times? So I'm not much closer to being a millionaire, right?
Okay, we got a couple more questions, and then we're going to get to any questions from you guys. So let's go all the way back to when you're a little girl, or not a baby anymore, and your parents are divorced, and you hear something from your mother, and it kind of sets off your course about how you're going to approach things.
So my first pool coach told me to go to this class. This is kind of a little bit of backstory. How are we on time? Okay. So he said, go to this 3-day course. Nothing will be stopping you. And I'm like, all right. I'm like interested, scared, excited. I'm like, what the heck is that, right? And this is when I very first started working with my first coach before I won anything. And it was this 3-day course called Landmark Education. It's really awesome. And the first thing you do is at Landmark Forum, and you can go with any area of your life that's not working or working as well as you'd like it to. You could go with wanting to address different relationships or money, all different things you could go with, right? So I was the only one there that wanted to improve my pool game, and my relationships were, with my parents were good and fine. But what I learned through all these questionings that they ask you, is what kind of ruled the way that I was, or like the careers that I would choose. And it's very interesting to figure out like why you are the way you are, because people could tell you, but you would never. It's like your blind spot, right? And they will help you see your blind spot, and it really helps your personal growth and things. So, anyways. What it came down to is I was 8 years old listening to my mom on the phone, and she was crying, and she was like, "Mom, I need $1,000, I need $1,000," and she was getting divorced, and what I made that mean is she couldn't do it because she was female, and that's not what it meant, but in my child's mind at 8 years old, it's harder because you're female. So from that point forward, even though she did great, she had her own businesses, whatever, this is just how my filter heard it, right? So from that point forward, I was always trying to prove myself, like always taking on male-dominated professions and trying to prove that I could do it even though I was female, and all my conversations with my dad were about me proving it no matter what, and all I could hear from him no matter what he would say is it's not good enough, it's not good enough, even though he wasn't saying that, but I could not hear it, you know. So something else I got out of that course at Landmark is actually a better relationship with my dad, because I could finally, like, our conversations weren't just about proving it all the time. I mean, that is all we would talk about. You know, it was like this thing we couldn't hear each other. And it really, it's different now. So, we always had a good relationship, but it made it better. It's a very interesting course. I tell my students to go, especially if you're in a mental game or whatever, so.
A couple more things. One is, when you were at the University of Colorado Boulder, was there a quirky professor of geology that you ran into there at all?
I don't know. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yep, he was there. Now, two more things, and then we're going to take some questions. One is that Jackie spent a good deal of time in Chico, California, and I spent enough time in there to learn that when they harvest what we call almonds, they shake the tree. Hold that thought. But nobody down there calls them almonds, they call them almonds. And I asked Jackie, why do they call them almonds? And she told me,
this is true, because they shake the L out of them. And really, all the farmers there really do say almonds. You have to, they really make you say it. That's what they say. It's so funny and so silly, but it's true.
It says we don't teach you things here. So, Jackie says that she loves this sport, pool. She loves car sales too, but she loves the sport of pool because it has so much to offer. It requires discipline, learning proper mechanics, focus, practice, determination, and more. It also is like Rotary because it brings people together from a variety of backgrounds that may have only met because of playing pool. It is a lifelong sport that can be played all year round, and it is affordable, unless of course you've got money on the game and you're playing Jackie, in which case it ain't affordable. The social aspect is great too because it requires people to interact with one another instead of being on their phones or computers. And that is Jackie Karol.
Thank you.
We have a business exchange at Rialto. We also are having a thing on the night of the 12th, I believe, of November, an event at Rialto where you're all going to learn how to play pool. Do we have any questions? We have one mic out there. Any questions for Jackie? And we have Dr. Sandoval. Michael.
Jackie, for anybody crazy enough to want to open a bar, what would be your top 3 or 5 reasons that you would say absolutely don't do it?
Top 3 reasons to own a bar or not to? To not. Oh, well, 99% of all bars and restaurants fail, and some of them don't even make it to opening. So they're usually undercapitalized, people go into it, they don't really know what they're doing, they don't have systems and procedures down, and by the time they start to learn it, it's way too late. So you just want to have somebody that knows what they're doing to at least help you get started, but even then it's risky. I mean, there are so many aspects of it. It's not easy. And you're going to make all your money from the booze, by the way, so some people open it because they want to open this fine dining. That is the hardest thing to do. I mean, you can do it, but it's really tough. It's a lot harder than people think.
Thank you, Jackie, for sharing your story with us. You shared in your story that you focused on male-dominant industries to work and like defeat them, basically. So I wonder, what's your tip to deal with men and defeat them?
How do I deal with it? How do I defeat them? I just study extra or whatever it is that I'm working on. I mean, with car sales, I mean, I'm like way a nerd. Like, I mean, I've read every sales strategy thing and like mind mapped it out, and like some of the training in car sales is just so bad though. They'll have you memorize these replies and totally cheesy and ancient, like they don't really work, but some of them do. Some of the things were very good, but basically to answer your question, I just study extra because it was so important to me to do well. I just study and get as many teachers, knowledgeable teachers, and work close with them, and you know, almost to the point where it was like too much studying, but it's fun and enjoy it.
Any more questions? Yep, we got one more.
Hi, thanks, Jack. I was in the market for a new car, so I was wondering if you could give me some quick tips on what to look for when going to the dealership.
Tips on buying cars? Sure. So new cars are probably, there's less things, you know, that could go wrong, I guess. But if you go to Costco, they'll give you a decent deal. Right now, the only way I would even sell cars is because I'm a broker, but it's way easier, and I can figure it out all over the phone. It's easy for me, it's easy for the customer. You get the numbers up front on the phone, you gotta know all the options, get specifics, and make sure the car is there before. I mean, I have a short little book I can even forward you, but just do your research. Like if you have a trade-in, make sure you look at comparable cars. Make sure that you know the interest rate. Get your loan yourself, because even if it's credit unions usually have the best deal. And even if, and here's something that our dealers don't, but if you go to a credit union, let's say they already work with a credit union or bank, because they'll try to get you to go through them to financing, because it's the same thing, but it's really not. If you get your own financing, it'll be a little lower. Car salespeople are going to hate me for telling you guys that. But I have more tips too if you have any questions.
One short question, one short answer.
Rotary Jim Farrell. I have a 1964 CJ5 Willys Jeep that runs, turns over easily, except when it's 0 degrees or below at our place in Central Oregon. How do I figure out what its value is?
Okay, so J5, awesome car, and there's not many of them. You could look it up in the blue book and try to search it on autotrader.com. It's pretty rare. It's a pretty rare car. Yeah, it doesn't go back that old. And he specializes in classic cars. So Bill actually is local here, and he knows a ton about that. So.
Hey, thanks everybody.